Yeah.
They had 2 TVs they gave away. They weren't too big, they were 32-inch, I think, but they were smart TVs. But not for middle school kids, one for the high school kids, and then a bunch of other stuff. Yeah, set off a fire alarm, somebody got hurt, there's some girls crying in the corner.
Pretty normal.
Sounds pretty normal to me. Welcome to the real world.
It was fun.
That's a great turnout.
It was about the same last year too, I guess.
Better than them going up and down the road with a 6-pack in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Or more.
And they were all really more, they were all really great.
Oh, and tell about these. I win. Good, are you?
Right, how you doing, Chief? Good.
Want some pizza, one?
No. No, and I don't want any more middle school, high school kids.
I have the same. They were all fun and it was good, but.
7 hours is plenty.
But you could go to the fish tail and still get Super Bowl, and then there was enough there for 10 Super Bowls.
All right, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. If you please stand with us and join us with the, for the Pledge of the Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thanks for joining us today. It is February 3rd, Monday. This is the Broadwater County Commissioners' business meeting. This is where we take care of county business for our 6,000 citizens. This meeting is open to the public and we welcome anyone to participate by promoting basic civility. Documents are available for review and copying prior to the meeting in the clerk and recorder's office. Includes in this white notebook, and there's also these other big documents. These meetings are recorded. They are on YouTube and the county website. These are the only videos of these meetings that are unedited and uncut. We follow Robert's Rules of Order and county civility and open meeting policies. Under Robert's Rules of Order, all comments shall be directed to the board chair. Sideline conversations are welcome, but only out in the hallway. For public comment, please come up to the podium. Upon recognition by the chair, please state your full name for the record each time you stand to speak, and that's because the people watching the video don't know who's talking. They just face this way, not that way. For public comment, each person who wishes to speak will be given an initial 3 minutes to do so. Finally, this disclaimer has been approved by the Commission via the weekly minutes and applies to all public comment. Public comment is the opinion of citizens as individuals and does not necessarily reflect accurately on Broadwater County actions, operations, policy, practice, or processes. So with that, we will start our meeting with public comment on any subject not on the agenda and that the Commission has jurisdiction over. Is there any public comment? Come on up to the podium, Ed, and please state your name for the record.
Ed Schendall, I'm the county fire warden today for this part of this deal. So I've received some information from the state of Montana. It's the firefighter property program. It's the excess property that the fire department has been getting trucks and other equipment for. That's the SOPs for it. There is a contract or a cooperative agreement that they have sent that we need to fill out and sign, and I can sign it as the fire warden. I'll let you guys look it over, make sure you're all right with that, and then I will sign it and get it sent in. And the second thing I've got is for the Fool Hen building, the building that the Forest Service gave the fire district. It's an agreement between us and Jeff and Carla Stewart for the use of the building. I want to give you guys each a copy of that. So if you guys are fine with this agreement with the NRC, I will sign that and get that back in, and then here are the copies of the agreement we have with Jeff and Carla. Any questions?
This is more a courtesy, right? Because you're a separate political subdivision, so you don't need our
Correct.
permission, it's just a courtesy to let us
Courtesy to
know.
let you know what's going on with it.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you guys do amazing work, and thanks for what you did this weekend, too.
I wish I'd been there.
Thanks, Ed. Any other public comment?
Not really public comment, I guess. Win me, hand sheriff. I just got an interlocal agreement with, it looks like an MOU, an interlocal agreement for the detention center with Lewis and Clark County. So I don't know if we want to put that on the agenda for next week. It does require a signature of the commission. I'll review it better when I look at it. I thought we already had one in place, so this might be just an updated version of it, I'm assuming, because I thought we already had one. But I will email it to you guys, review it, have any questions. But I thought we already had one. So with that, the other thing is last night's Super Bowl party for the high school, or for the school kids. I think we had 55 or 57 middle school kids. We had 42 or 45 high school kids that were in attendance. It was fairly, we had a little mishap, kids playing football, hit the fire alarm, set that off. We got to listen to that for about 10 minutes. It was great. You know, other than that, the middle school kids were wonderful. They had a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm. It was a good time with them. High school kids a little rough. They just they weren't quite into it like they normally are. But the Fishtail sponsored the pizzas this year, and the Mint sponsored some sodas and waters and stuff. And so we had lots of prizes from Played Against Sports and Capital Sports, and gosh, I don't know where else we had. We had lots of donations, lots of prizes. It was a good time, but very exhausting, and I'm glad it's behind us for another year. So with that being said, that's all I have.
Thank you. Hi, more
Madam
public
Chair,
comment?
Tim Ravendall, Citizen County. Been following, and thank you, Mr. Schindel, for bringing this forward to the commission as a courtesy. I understand there is a separation of the elected bodies here. One of the things I need to bring up on this is we've been asking as citizens of what's been going on with that for quite some time. And one of the things that keeps bringing forward in this agreement that shows again clearly, because the commission decides on subdivisions and easements, there's an easement issue going on with this agreement, and it states in the agreement I just read now, dated clear back in August of 2018. We're asking for this, it's just now showing up. So what I would like to ask the commission to keep in mind is this is county property, whether it's under this jurisdiction or the rural fire district, it is county property, and we need to make sure that everything is in order before moving forward, and the easement is definitely in question here. Thank you.
All right, Jim.
Go for it, Lynn.
One more thing. I don't know if Nick sent it out. We've been having the meetings in regards to the public safety mail. And so we created having 3 meetings. Help me with the name. I think it was Public Safety Community Input Meetings to meet with citizens across the county on 3 different occasions. And I'm not completely sure. I believe the dates are February 13th down in Three Forks at Headwaters.
They changed that to the 12th.
Was it the 12th?
Well, because there
I
was
thought we were on the 12th and it got moved, so it's one of those.
it was the 13th and there's a conflict, so it's back to the 12th.
Back to 12th,
Which is
okay.
a Wednesday.
A Wednesday. So we'll have that down there. It starts at 6, I believe. And then we'll have one in Winston, I believe, on the 18th. And then, is it the 19th or the 20th? I'll get you the days. I was trying to find it on my phone real quick. And part of the other process of that is we're looking at trying to do a survey monkey as well to get the information from the citizens on how they currently feel about their law enforcement services, what they expect to see in the future, what they don't want to see in the future, or whatever else. So we're trying to work through the logistics component of that as well, because it's in this juncture where we're at. We need as much info as we can in a short period of time. So that's kind of the path we're taking with that. And I didn't know if Daryl had a chance to sit down and talk to you guys about it, but I think we had a pretty productive meeting last week, I thought. And I thought we made some headway in how that's gonna look and how we're gonna go about that. So I will send some stuff out as soon as I get back to the office here this morning after we're all done here, so, okay.
All right, thank you. Any more public comment? Public comment? Public comment, all right. Mike or Daryl, any comments to public comment? All right. We do have minutes from last week, January 27th and January 30th.
I'll make a motion to approve minutes for January 27th and January 30th this
And I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the minutes from January 27th and January 30th, 2020 as circulated. All those in favor, please signify by, any public comment? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thanks, Ann. All right, Commissioners' Community Update. This is a chance to let each other know what's been going on aside from these meetings. So Daryl, what'd you do this week?
Let's see, I think we all attended the update on the hospital closing. Had a conservation district meeting, and they had elections. Rick Van Dyken was elected as the chairman, Darrell Baum the vice chair, Kelly Ingalls as the treasurer. Also was a report from Mike, what's Mike's last name, the Forest Service?
Welker.
Yeah, Welker, there you
Yeah,
go, Mike
thanks.
Welker. Anyway, I reported that there are 2 timber sales currently being proposed, the Boulder Baldy sale and the Middleman timber sales. Said that if those 2 are approved, they can provide over or close to 146 million board feet of timber. He also stated that RY Timber uses approximately 50 million board feet a year. So if that was proposed, that could possibly be good for those folks. 70% of RY's timber does come from the Forest Service. Had a fair board meeting, and they're all planning for the upcoming fair. Attended the public safety meeting, and I was looking on my phone to give you those dates, because I did put them in here, so Wednesday, February 5th, down at Headwaters Livestock at 6 p.m. Or the 12th, I'm sorry, the 12th. And then February 18th, and that was up at Big Bull, right? And then February 19th at the school. That's what was. So all starting at 6 p.m. So anyway, that's it.
Excellent, thank you. Mike, your turn.
Let's see, went to had a meeting with Earl Griffith from the Petro Board to dig a hole at the ambulance building to get a soil sample to proceed with that cleanup out there. Also had a discussion with him about possibly using some district property and county property to store some overburden materials that they're going to dig out during that dig out, and looked at some federal government surplus property at the end of Canton Lane that we might be able to acquire for a very nominal fee, maybe used for weeds. Was going to attend the Middleman timber sales meeting in Helena, but I didn't make it as my doctor appointment overran, and that was about it.
I read that about the building that would be for sale down there in the camp. I haven't gone up, I was gonna go take a look at it, you guys could look at it, did you look at it? Mike?
Yeah, it's got a 30 by 30 with 16-foot sidewalls on it. It's all fenced off with chain link with barbed wire, so it's something we could probably, I don't know if law enforcement would be interested in going that far out of town in an isolated area. But we thought, me and Mike kind of thought we could use it for weeds. That building would be an excellent storage facility for all that equipment, it wouldn't be outside. It's not the ideal location, but if you got it for nothing, you can't beat it. That building probably be worth close to $80,000 probably.
Yeah, that thought came to my mind too, there's 2.5 acres there, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. All right, great, I think we should pursue it.
Yeah,
Mike was gonna do some research on it, so.
perfect. There was also a phone conference on the hospital. It was not our meeting, but Daryl and I both listened in. Really, the only decision we made was to have a meeting, which we did,
Right.
and have another one today. The communication team met. We spent a couple hours, I guess it was, editing the newsletter. And kudos to the MVM corridor grant. I understand that was a tremendous meeting. I did not make it, I had a migraine that day. But the reports I got back was that was a home run meeting. So kudos to you guys who went, and for the work that you're doing. So, anything further that was forgotten? All right, we're right at 10:15. I don't see Sean to be here. I don't know if he was going to be here. This is, he gave his report and update last week. So I'm gonna leave it to you guys. Do you want to go ahead and proceed with moving forward or not with the Fairgrounds Master Plan, or do you want to give Sean 5 or 10 minutes and go through mail?
I mean, I know I read through it, you guys all read through it.
Yeah.
I think that it's a good document for us to start from.
All right. Yeah, if you would like to proceed, it is 10:15. So Sean Hayward, WWC Engineering, presentation of the final city-county fairgrounds master plan.
Okay. I guess I would move that we accept the 2002 Fairgrounds Master Plan presented by WWC Engineering.
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded to proceed with the 2020 city-county fairgrounds master plan. Is there any public comment? Public comment? All right, with that, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. I was wondering if those footsteps were Sean, they're not. All right, our next appointment's at 10:30, so I'm gonna take a few minutes to go through mail. We have one item that's an action item, and it is claims. These are the approved claims from last week. And the total is $75,106.88.
I move that we pay approved claims in the amount of $75,106.88.
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded that we pay the approved claims in the amount of $75,106.88. Is there any public comment? Public comment. All right, with that, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. And the second piece of mail is about what we were just talking about. This is from the GSA, which is the Government Services Administration, and this is about real property. So included in this notice is a description of the property and procedural instructions to be followed if any public agency desires to acquire the property. So, anything more to add on this? I'm going to put it with mail, and we can put this on the agenda. All right. Thank you. So this will be on the agenda, it will be noticed, so if anybody has any thoughts, questions, concerns, or wants to support it, you will have ample opportunity to do so. We received a box of information from the Montana Census. I did not bring the box down, but I did bring the letter down. Thank you for being part of the U.S. Census Bureau's Complete Count Committee program. On behalf of the state, we are providing you with a toolkit to assist with your efforts to promote the upcoming census. So there's a bunch of stuff for us to disseminate, bring to our meetings, to take to meetings outside of the courthouse, to take to different groups. The importance of the census is that the funding that our state receives is tied to the census. It's based on population. We also are on the verge of being able to have another voice in Congress, another congressperson in the House. So this is a big deal for Montana, and hopefully we can get everybody to fill in the census. Anything to add?
You know, I was going to just reiterate exactly what you said, how important this is to Montana and our own community as well. Because this is how our funding's based, so I hope that everybody catches the census bug and fills out the forms when you get them, and encourages your neighbors to do the same.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We also have a notice from the National Association of Counties. We are having the first ever summit for counties with defense installations in or near your jurisdiction as communities around defense installations grow. Leaders must work together to ensure the well-being and economic stability of local communities. This summit will be hosted at the U.S. Department of Defense and with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Environmental Protection Agency, and Small Business Administration to explore strategies. This will be held February 29th through March 4th in Washington, D.C. at the Washington Hilton. So this is with the National Association of Counties Legislative Conference. We also have something that was also discussed earlier. This is a notice from the National Helena, Lewis and Clark National Forest from the District Ranger, Kathy Bushnell. The Forest Service invites you to comment on our Middleman project. There is a website here if anybody wants it. This is likely to begin spring of 2021, so about a year from now. Public comment is open until February 21st. There will be two public meetings, one January 29 from 5 to 7 at Tri-Lakes Lakeside Fire Station 2, and January 30 from 7 to 9 at the Don Zimmerman El Dorado Heights Station 3. Again, if anybody wants any more of that information, we're happy to share with you. We do have a payment that was received of $839.09. We have a wastewater digest magazine, if anybody cares to read and digest that. And we have a letter from the Citizens Action Group for the Silos Recreation Area. Dear Broadwater County Commissioners, the Citizens Action Group for the Silos Recreation Area would like to take this opportunity to thank you for your leadership and generous support in approving the continued contributions of the Broadwater County Trust Board and the City, County Parks and Recreation Boards towards getting full $90,000 raised to complete the master plan for the Silos Recreation Area. Your support for and approval of these generous contributions of $32,000 and $2,500 respectively to this effort was huge in helping meet our required match. It was also very helpful in showing support and helping other contributors step forward, so we eventually achieved our goal of having the $45,000 available to match the BOR contribution of $45,000. With all the funding secured by early September, the request for proposals was prepared and finalized with you in late November. The RFP was advertised with bids received by December 27. 3 bids were received and evaluated, and you selected Robert Petch and Associates to complete the master plan. We expect they will be keeping us all informed and involved in the project over the next 12 months. We look forward to working with you and your contractor to help identify a great plan for future developments of the Silos Recreation Area. We ask that you keep us informed and involved in the great effort. If any of the members with the Citizens Action Group for the Silos Recreation Area can provide you with any information, please contact us. Again, thank you for your support in helping improve our Broadwater community. So thank you very much, and they did a tremendous amount of work. And we have our kickoff meeting tomorrow at 10 o'clock. And that is all the mail almost at 10:30. We do have Bernadette here, and our agenda does say issues and times are subject to change. So Bernadette Swenson with Schauber Surveying, request to lift ag exempt status. And Bernadette, if you want to stand at the podium or sit at the table, we can do either one.
You bet. Some new information just to share with you on this riser request. And I'm not sure how the commission will view this, but if you look at the final certificate of survey, the boundary location from 7 parcels into 5, whether this was right or wrong when this was filed, nowhere on here does it state that tract B is an agricultural tract. It references the original 25-acre agricultural tract, also the 1-acre agricultural tract. But nowhere on this certificate of survey does it reference the new tract B of 29.77 acres as an agricultural tract.
Which one are you looking at, Bernadette?
The very final one, book 1, page 752.
Hey Nicole, would you come and join us? May I bring my book?
Yes.
It's on my desk.
Oh, no problem, I have 2. So I don't know if that changes the game.
You're saying which 2 have ag exempt attached to them in writing? Is it A?
No, well, the previous surveys, but if you look at this one, tract B, which is the one we're questioning for the risers, of 29.77 acres. Nowhere on the certificate of survey does it reference that as an agricultural tract. There's no claim of agricultural covenants on the
Well,
certificate of survey.
If you look at that diagram, it's written right on there in 2 places, agricultural tract.
Exactly, but those are referencing previous surveys. Now, I'm not saying this is correct, but I'm just saying that through the whole line of this, there was a lot of discrepancies. But this final certificate of survey does not claim that tract B is an agricultural tract. Now, where those agricultural tracts went, they're actually a portion of, they were all conglomerated, aggregated, and so was the mortgage tract or occasional sale, however that one was.
Where did the 25.23, what is that?
That is the previous survey number. Let's see.
Is that
420, 427. It's that one there. Book 1, page 426, created the 1-acre potato farm.
So what we're looking at, 25.23,
Yeah, the
1 acre.
certificate of survey.
So this does not have the agricultural, where it says Owen,
Right.
it's not identified as a parcel, but it does not have an agricultural exemption in place.
No.
And
And it
so
was,
that would have been the 3.54 acres. This Owen piece
yes,
should be.
that was certificate of survey number 1386. It's back a couple pages, or 1 page.
And the acreage doesn't add up. 2.952.
Well, that's because part of this parcel went to tract A. I know there's so many maps. See, the rest of this
Okay.
went to tract A.
So I mean, they took 7 different parcels and just created 5.
Now that this is all one parcel, I don't know how you make that differentiation between this egg tract, and now this. Because the egg exemption always stays with the parent tract. So now, this Owen piece, I don't know how it's identified on here, but the piece for Owen that had, the Owen request for the mortgage tract.
It was a boundary location.
And then a boundary location with A. And then they did an aggregation with this, so now is this the parent tract that encumbers this with the agricultural tract?
Or does this absorb everything? I mean, I agree this is a historical mess, or, you know,
Right.
but I guess my suggestion, or if it's possible, to just take the latest, greatest. It's similar if a mortgage tract is sold. You can't go back and, you know, make them do a subdivision because their parcel was created incorrectly, or an error. And the landowner that did this, the surveyor that did this, they're all deceased. And so who do you go back, you know, to correct this? So I guess I'm asking if we can just take the latest, greatest and move forward.
I'm just not sure how you say, well, only 25.23 acres is an ag tract, not the remaining 4.
Right, see, I think
well,
they're just
one, too.
they're referencing the previous surveys. Just like here, parcel 1, and that wasn't a true parcel. Parcel 2, which wasn't a parcel. So, I mean, they're referencing all the past items and then just saying we have 7 and now we want all the lines to be like this. Because they don't even have a lot of these marked as old boundaries and new, I mean, well, they have nothing marked old boundary and new boundary, which is a requirement also.
We don't need to make a decision today. We could actually take this new information to Tara and see if there is a way. I think we're all trying to find a way to make this work. So that would be something to think about.
I was checking my phone, I emailed Tara earlier today, just to ask her, not on this specific, but on where do we go from here? She hasn't responded yet, so.
Okay.
The only other things I could think of is to, MCA does allow the lift of an agricultural covenant if you go back to the original lines. So I didn't know if that could be worked to where we reestablish the house parcel and have the remainder be the agricultural tract, which is all the field.
Okay.
And that was new in MCA this year.
Wouldn't you create the egg tract and make the home the remainder?
Yeah, you could do that too. I mean, but it'd be just reestablishing the lines of, it's actually for lifting an agricultural tract, you can go back to the previous lines, but I don't know if it could be used to do the reverse to, okay, this was done in error, so let's reestablish the agricultural tract and the house tract separate from each other. This survey would be amended so they aggregated 7 to 6 instead of 7 to 5. if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
And then the only other thing I could think of was for the landowners to get a court order.
Right, yeah.
I just wouldn't wanna see this go, into litigation of some sort or,
I agree.
or anything, so I'm just trying to think of an easy, quick way to,
So you're talking about the changes that were in House Bill 124, right?
mhm,
That we just made.
yes.
So the choices are that either it goes to subdivision review, which we're trying to avoid. Right? And the statute gives us two situations where county commissioners can lift the agricultural covenant. The one is the original lot lines are restored to aggregation of the covenanted tract prior to or in conjunction with the lifting of the agricultural covenant. And that's what you're trying to do.
Right.
What's an would you read that again?
Says the original lot lines are restored to aggregation of the coveted tract prior to or in conjunction with the lifting of the agricultural covenant.
Kind of a roundabout,
So that's an aggregation, and we're trying to create new parcels, not create new, go back to old.
right.
So that's not aggregating. I guess I'd have to read through and see how that.
Give the MC number.
Yes, I got a copy of it here too, the road. 763211.
Thank you.
Oh, geez, that was not in there.
No, I know. So what the MCA code did was take it out of 763207, that any change of land use subjects it to chapter 5 and 6. They removed that and added the 211, 763211 in the new regulations.
Aggregation.
I think what it's intended, like if you had a 20-acre parcel and created a 10-acre agricultural exemption, if you re-aggregated it back into a 20, then the aggregation, or the agricultural goes
Right.
away.
So I guess I'm just not sure how that would apply
I know.
to this situation, because you're not aggregating anything, you're doing the opposite of aggregating. You're recreating. Prior to or in conjunction. Prior to booking the covenant. Or in conjunction.
But again, I think if the easiest thing is if we can just go by the latest, greatest certificate of survey, because otherwise, what do you do with tracks D and C that weren't true parcels either, and track E? They were just parts of a remainder from a subdivision that were called out as through separate parcels, which they weren't.
I'm not an attorney, I just don't.
No,
How how 763211A would apply to this situation,
Yeah.
I can't make it work.
I guess the other part of this equation too is it being taxed now as agricultural ground.
I would have to ask the landowner, but I doubt it since it's their home site. I mean,
They
they're,
probably have non-qual ag,
Okay.
being that they're greater than 20 acres.
yeah.
Okay.
Farmstead, that's how they're being taxed. Yeah, I guess I would really like to see them not have to go through subdivision. I just don't know how to make that happen.
So would you make all the landowners out there C, D, and E to create their parcels?
Well, these all have recorded deeds, each of them. The only difference I'm finding here is this is called out as an agricultural tract, and MCA explains what an agricultural covenant is to be used for.
Mhm. Where-
Mortgage tract, I'm sorry. I don't know an MCA where, I mean, yes, it's to be used as a mortgage, but we've had evidence in the past where a mortgage tract is actually turned into a tract and sold. Don't know where an MCA negates the use of that. I'm not saying it's not there, I just don't know where it is. With this having agricultural tract on it, this telling us how we have to review an agricultural tract, that's where I'm stuck.
Right, but tract B isn't labeled as an agricultural tract. It references past agricultural tracts. Now, there is a possibility too, I don't know, but during this time period, to lift an agricultural tract, you just came to the commission and asked. I don't know if the surveyor or landowner did that back in '01. I have no idea, and I haven't searched those records.
So if they did, then that would answer this, wouldn't it?
Right, because then
It would, I would have,
it would be lifted, it would be gone.
yeah.
If there was anything in, I would say commissioner minutes, that would be the most likely place for documentation of the commission granting the lifting of this agricultural covenant. My concern with doing that, I mean, not with that part of it, but with the commissioners, looking at this as agricultural tract, they're not written on there. A good example is off of Carroll Drive. Those parcels down there, they purchased family transfer parcels. And on the survey, the most recent survey that's recorded, it just didn't call them out as agricultural tracts. You had to dig back through the record to find where they were agricultural tracts and then family transferred. But that didn't negate the fact that that agricultural covenant was still in place there, you just had to dig for it. So the people that purchased those lots didn't realize they were buying land with an agricultural covenant in place. They had to go through the subdivision process to lift that. So the fact that that's been done before makes me want to lean more towards them having to go through the subdivision process. However, with that being said, I don't know where your authority is to go to these folks that are living there, and if they're not changing these boundaries for you to say, I'm sorry, I know you're not expecting this, but you have to go through the subdivision process to continue living on your home. That was a question I posed to Tara. What are the next steps for this commission? Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
Are you talking about these?
Tract B only.
Only tract B, okay. Yeah, I would like an answer to that question. For starters, I still have a lot of questions on this, and I will be honest with you, the reason is because I want to find a way
Exactly. Oh,
to
yes,
make this happen.
I would prefer, even though, in my department it's, planning, it's responsible land use. I don't think that these folks are going to be creating any additional or negative impacts on the community. Nothing's changing for them to force them to go through subdivision review. I don't like it, I don't wanna do it, I would prefer any way that we possibly can to not make that happen. They're not creating new parcels, there's no additional homes, impacts on roads, public health and safety, it just doesn't seem fair. But, like I've said before, that sometimes common sense or fairness and the law, you have to just follow the law. And I know that that's where Tara's coming from, and thus her recommendation of subdivision only. But I feel that this warrants further discussion.
Could we ask that you research those records? If there's something there that we can use, great.
Well, I'll definitely research it.
And then, yeah, I guess I have just kind of formulating in my head some follow-up questions for Tara.
Okay.
If nothing else, maybe there's another road we just haven't thought of that complies with MCA, also lets us impose common sense and human caring into this whole thing.
Yep.
So, you guys good with another, well, it'd be 2 weeks?
Understand. Thank you
Okay.
for your consideration.
Absolutely, thanks for coming back. Yeah, we're gonna do everything we can.
Thank you.
And if any of you think of any additional questions, if you have any additional questions or thoughts, I might actually just scan this whole thing in and email her this, as opposed to mailing it, I know we still have 2 weeks before you meet again, but to give her time to process. I'm hopeful that there's case law out there that she'll be able to pull in, anything to say, no, this is fine, they can move forward without subdivision. Because,
Yeah.
her response was, nope, subdivision, that's it, that's their only option. I don't mean to keep poking at her on this, but there's gotta be something else. I feel there's gotta be something
Right.
else.
And if she sees this convoluted history.
She might be able to,
Yeah. All right.
I have one other question.
yeah.
I don't remember the exact date, but there is a resolution that any agricultural tract before 1993 can be lifted by the commission with sanitation approval.
Oh, can we include that in our packet?
Yes, I got a copy of it. So I'm just wondering if that's the case, what does it do to that resolution?
If the resolution is contrary to law, we'll have to, I don't know if there has to be a formal process, that would be a legal question, but a resolution by this commission cannot override law, yeah.
and I know when the commission did this at the time, because this kept popping up.
Right.
This exact situation, agricultural tracts were being created. And then they kept having to come through here for subdivision review, when really that was not the intent of what they were being created for, they were not being created for evasion. Yeah, so I know when you signed that resolution, you really were looking out for the people.
Yeah, and it's because of procedural changes over time.
Right, exactly.
And that's what I keep going back to. It's like holding the past accountable to the present
Absolutely.
is really hard. That, Nicole and I have talked about this. In 50 years, what are we doing that is going to be questioned?
Absolutely.
Because procedural change or
Mhm.
understanding, interpretation of certain laws.
Mhm.
Because I know it was early 2000s before the county required a subdivision for agricultural tracts. Because of the interpretation of the law.
Yeah,
And so as case law comes and changes things, then procedures and laws change accordingly, the understandings of the law. So it's really hard to go backwards.
yeah. Would you hold off emailing Tara further questions? Because I think if we have anything, we should put it all into one email
Absolutely.
rather than sending several. And then it'd be nice if she could get that coinciding with getting this, so that she has everything in front of her and can review that and understand where we're coming from.
Yeah, certainly. I'll just wait until the end of the day.
Okay.
Is that, or do you want more time than that?
How about tomorrow morning? Because we have a 4 o'clock, and I'm not sure
Oh,
if
that's
we'll
right.
have much time.
That's right, okay.
All right. Yes.
Just say a few things.
Yeah, if you want, would you please step up to the podium and then just state your name for the record?
I'm Diane Colberg, and I'm a friend of the Risers. And I've been friends with them for not ever, but probably the last 20 years. Michelle and I were very close, and we are still today. We were real estate agents together. We had our own company. And I just want to give a little bit of a human side to this story, because it's as much tragic, it's really amazing. Pat and Michelle and Pat's parents moved over here from Gateway, and they had been on that land pretty much all of Pat's family's life. And they sold and moved over here, and they were so happy. And their kids went to school here, and Michelle is as involved in community as anybody you've ever met. She fundraised for everything she could and made a lot of money for 4-H, the rodeo team here, and then the work that she's done in Bozeman. She's raised probably over hundreds of thousands of dollars for nonprofit groups. And in 2011 had a cerebral hemorrhage and a stroke. And that changed their lives and mine forever. And instead of putting her in a home, they have taken care of her. She needs 24-hour care. And the kids are here taking care of her. Tom goes back and forth to the Bakken, and Lauren is here taking care of Mom. And the beautiful thing is now Pat is working for Elkies. And they've given him a job where he can go and do the work that he loves for cattle, but then also take care of Michelle. And it's neighbors helping neighbors. This land isn't going to look any different. It will just be Elkies. It won't be used for anything different. And Pat's parents will be able to live their last days on that corner of the land. And it would really be a beautiful thing if we can make this happen, because it's really just been a great transition to a really bad situation. They don't get any public assistance. They take care of themselves. And it would just really be a nice thing if we could figure it out. But I appreciate you taking the time and consideration on it, and thank you for letting me say that.
Absolutely, thank you. Yeah.
That's why we've been trying so hard to work this out.
And I think we all agree, if we could just say, okay, it's fine, go ahead and let it happen, that would, I mean, that's what we all want. I guess I'm not speaking for the commission, but maybe I am.
You are.
That's what we want. How do we do that legally is the difficult thing for all of us, because you always have to look at the human side of it, no matter the situation, and it's difficult. It's very difficult. It's a difficult position that you have to be the ones to make that decision. It's my job to provide you with the tools to make the appropriate decision according to the law. And so that's, I think, why we need to take more time, because I feel there's got to be a solution out there that will be legal and beneficial to the people.
I agree. Yeah, and this is a standalone situation, it's not.
It really is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been serving 26 years, I've never seen this.
And it's hard when you really, really want to make something happen, but there's consequences for every action. You, of course, are the ones that are going to be the ones upholding the law and dealing with those consequences. So
Yeah,
Bernadette and I will do our best to get the
Figure it
best
out.
answer.
yeah, and we'll have follow-up comments for you for Tara for tomorrow morning at
Perfect.
the latest.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
And then our next meeting is 2 weeks from today, or no, it's
2 weeks and a
2
day.
weeks and 2 days, because we have a conflict on Tuesday, so it'll be that Wednesday after the holiday.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So thanks, you guys. Bernadette, thanks for all your work on this.
Oh, no
Nicole,
problem.
You put in a lot of time, I appreciate
Trying
it.
to get it worked out and figured out.
Yeah,
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
thank you. All right, right, we have David Payne and Shannon Shanholzer with Montana Association of Counties Claims Administrators, Property Claims. Good morning. Would you guys join us at the table? And if you want to just use the front row too, that's fine. We'll bring a chair up. And Mike and Michelle, would you mind joining us, please? Mike Myers in the back there. Michelle, you can probably stay where you're at. And then Mike, if you just come up either to the table or the front row, that'd be great. Well, thanks for coming down and joining us. So, I guess we have some questions. We talked with Julie last week about the claims that we received for some roofs that we didn't see that there was damage to, and want to know what can we do, what should we do, how does this work, what other questions did you guys have? Or do you want to just pop in as we go?
So I think as we go.
All right, so I think you've been hearing from Mike. What can you guys educate us on?
I talked to Mike, as I understand your concerns, there was questions whether there was damage up there or if they had been actually inspected, is that? Yeah. Okay. You've got 40 some odd locations insured, there was 13 of them were identified as having hail. I assume that came from the county because there was two guys from Travelers out here, Joe Perdue, who's a national general adjuster, and a guy named John Lively, who's an estimator. They were on every roof. They provided me with over 260 photographs of the locations. There's detailed estimates on each location. There's significant evidence of hail damage, there's no question. There's a large widespread damage that hit Broadwater County. The county has nothing to do with the school system, but the school, Travelers insures the school. The loss to the school is well over $1 million just for the school alone. So there was a significant weather event that hit this area. It also affected 5 other counties in Montana, because we have, along with Broadwater County, we've got Madison County, Mineral County, Beaverhead County, and then the irrigation district. So Broadwater is in, that claim is in with 5 other locations. All told, we're probably $1.3 million for that hail claim, of which Broadwater County's is a small chunk of that. The estimates that you received is actual cash value. Whether or not you elect to repair all those pieces of property, totally honest with you, I don't know that you need some of those metal buildings. I don't know that I would get into tearing that stuff apart. One of them was, the damage was significant, I believe it's the search and rescue building. It is obvious, you can see it, you can see the damage from the ground. Ground photographs. The other ones, I think that over time, something could develop. Travelers' policy with respect to damage assessment, there's a number of different ways you can do it. As insurers, our obligation is to make a calculation of the damage to the property immediately after an insured event as opposed to what it was before. So there's a number of different ways you can do that. Cost of replacement is one of the easier ways to do it. Travelers' policy is, rather than argue with people over repair versus replacement, they replace. Not all insurance carriers do that. That's Travelers' national policy. They do that. If there's evidence of hail damage, they calculate the cost to replace it. Does that mean that it is absolutely positively necessary to replace everything? No, that's their policy, and they base the claim off that. So that's why some of those metal buildings, they have the cost of replacing the siding and replacing the roofing. Well, as a practical matter,